Hi, Matteo. Welcome to MovieJunk. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I can't say how much an honor it is to have you on fresh off the release of the Many Saints of Newark. You play young Artie Bucco.
Yes, I did.
If I'm not mistaken, is this your first feature film or your second feature film?
So this is actually my first feature film, and I think it's just an amazing one to do my first.
Man, if there was ever a movie to kind of get your career kickstarted, I mean, what better one to get started with?
That's what I'm saying, 100%.
I want to jump into kind of what the audition process was like, what your experience was like. But before we get into that, what got you started into acting? How did you get into the business? Have you always had a passion for it?
So ever since I was little, you can always kind of tell that I was like such a performer because I grew up on Mulberry Street. So I walk up and down Mulberry Street. I play my little guitar with my grandmother, and that was just like kind of like a hint that maybe I was an actor and performer. And then eventually I was like, ooh, let me try out like an acting thing, right? And I actually went into my first show when I was like 6, 7 years old, and it was Annie. And that's what really kind of like got us in the mood. I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is something I want to do for a long time. And it finally paid off. So
Have you done any theater work or any Broadway type work yet?
not nothing like Broadway, like super out there, but I've definitely done like a couple of like projects with some companies and like the show world and stuff, and a lot of like variety shows. I've done a couple things with Rockers on Broadway and the Path Fund, so definitely a lot of that.
Nice, nice. Now, as far as kind of what movies kind of you grew up watching or any actors that kind of motivated you, do you have any favorite actors or favorite movies that you kind of draw from?
100%. It's funny because like my first favorite actor was actually Robert Downey Jr. from Iron Man.
Nice.
And that really like inspired me because I thought he was like such a cool character, and I was like, he's so cool. I want to be like him. And after like reading up and seeing a few things that he was in, I was like, that would honestly, that kind of like just fueled me. And I was like, you know what? I think this is it. I want to be like him. And I think that like, the more movies I watch, the more characters that I see, and like the more like experience I take from everything I watch, it really just kind of like builds up on who's my favorite actor. And Robert Downey Jr. is definitely like one of my favorites.
Is he your favorite Marvel character?
Yes, 100%. I love Iron Man.
Nice, nice, man. Yeah, man. I can do just a separate interview just on Marvel and Robert Downey Jr. and all the characters.
Yeah.
With respects to Sopranos, now I know when the finale ended in it was '07. Preparing for this role, did you have to watch any episodes, or did you just kind of go right into it, pretty much with your own flavor to it?
Well, so because of my age, I'm like 15, it wasn't really like I was allowed to watch it at the time because I was like 12, 13. So
Yeah.
my mom was like, maybe we show him a few clips, try and get like the character of Artie Bucco and stuff like that. But I really just like tried to think like, what would my uncles do? All my Italian uncles, we all own restaurants. I was like, let me just really pull from like my real life there. And I was like, let me act like an Italian. I was like, you know what, that worked.
Yeah. And so John Ventimiglia, who plays the older version of your character, Artie Bucco, for the entire show, I mean, he was brilliant. Did you guys get a chance to meet? Did you get a chance to maybe get some pointers from him, or?
No, unfortunately, we didn't. That would have been amazing, though. I did meet Alan Taylor. I met David Chase, and that was amazing because just seeing their insight on the characters, especially how like, Alan Taylor would like direct, was just insane. But I would really like to meet John Ventimiglia. I think that would be sick.
I mean, you definitely did his character justice. I mean, you were awesome. I want to see more. To be honest, a lot more of the younger Tony and the young Artie Bucco, the trouble that you guys can get into.
Yeah.
But what was it like? I mean, I hear, just from watching Talking Sopranos and just hearing all how the original cast auditioned in front of David Chase. What was it like? Did you have to audition in front of David, or what was that process like?
So when I originally auditioned, it's funny because I actually originally auditioned for young Tony, and I
Wow.
think that was like yes, and then that was like the first I think the first audition I'd ever had for the Many Saints of Newark. And from that point on, there was always like a kind of like even, how do I explain it? It was like an even tone, right? So I'd kind of get like call outs for like the parts, but it never really like solidified. And then finally, I'd say like two maybe 3 months later, I got the audition for Artie Bucco, but I didn't even know the character's name, and I could just kind of tell that it was more like a Soprano movie. So yeah, but no, actually, I don't remember David Chase being in the room, especially because it was like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and it was like, yeah, it was kind of like way back when.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I mean, it was just, I mean, it's just typical what you would expect from a young Tony, because even Artie also, they were very close, but you can tell that his character, could have went a different way if he didn't go, the chef route. And you're seeing them when they were young, they were doing the numbers game in school. And you also, were at Holston. And if you remember from the finale, I mean, that's a very important, location. So I don't know if you knew that when you were filming, but that location is very sentimental to Soprano fans. And you got to film there.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy because I remember my mom and actually my uncle Tommy, they were both just flipping out at the location, and me being me, I was like, huh, what is this? And now like after that, I really went home. I was like, what? Huh? And now I'm like, wow, okay, that place is like legendary. So it's definitely like right afterwards, it was kind of like shocked. I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And it was just really cool like being there, especially like it was like the idea like this is where like the original filming took place. And I'm working with like the original writer and everything, and that was just really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, I probably should have asked this earlier. Is your mom, your uncle, are they Soprano fans?
100%. My mom loves The Sopranos. My uncle loves The Sopranos, especially because the restaurants on Mulberry Street and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because my family owns a restaurant, so especially when I was like doing the role, I was definitely trying to like take experiences from my life in Mulberry Street. My mom was always like into that like mafia kind of movie stuff. She loves The Godfather,
Oh yeah.
all that stuff, Bronx Tale. So that was definitely probably one of her favorite shows.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought that we would be able to revisit, these characters and this story. I mean, the finale just ended so brilliantly, and I was nervous when I found out they were going to make a movie. I was like, how do you top that? How do you replicate that? And I'll be honest, I've already seen the movie 3 times, and each time that I watch it, I like it even more. And there's certain things that I catch, and it's just unbelievable how consistent certain things are, because you can tell that that character would have done that. And I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, but it gets better each time you watch it. And then there's certain consistencies. You're like, I understand why they did that now and why the character did that on the show.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. It's kind of like when I first heard that I was getting Sopranos, I knew that it was definitely a legendary television show, and I knew that it had changed and influenced, television for many years to come. But I don't think that I fully understood like how just drastic of a change it made. And now that I'm like, now like the premiere happened, I see like all of these Sopranos fans that are like, I think this is actually like I personally thought that it was like one of the better mafia movies made in the past 10 years, because I think that like just the detail and the acting and everything in the movie was just like perfect. And I think that it's definitely just like a great carry on to the legacy of the Sopranos.
Yeah. Now, if you were to wear your kind of your writer hat or creative hat, where would you like to see kind of the build from this? Would you like to see this go into a series? Would you like to see a sequel movie? Would you like a sequel to the prequel? Kind of where would your creative hat go from here?
I think it would be awesome to do a TV show,
Yeah.
especially because like in like some TV genres, they show like the first like 10 seasons, 15 seasons of the show, and then they go into like the movie and then back into the show. And I think that'd be really cool. But like I definitely would love a movie. I think that a movie would be really cool, just like documenting kind of like the younger Tony, the younger Artie, and like how more like their relationship formed. And I think that'd be really sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a certain actor that you just, I'm assuming young Tony, you guys did really well, but is there anyone else that you've stayed really close with or built a good relationship with after shooting the film?
Definitely William Ludwig, the guy who played younger Tony.
He was awesome.
Because we were on set. He was so great. I loved this part. I think that he did amazing at like portraying Tony and everything. And he's just a really great kid. He's really sweet. He's really nice. And just from those like few days of filming with him, I could kind of like almost like take things from his way of acting. And it was really cool just to see like a relationship form through being on set. So
awesome. Just slightly shifting away from The Sopranos. I know before we were kind of talking about kind of favorite movies. We mentioned Iron Man. Are there any shows that you're binge watching nowadays, or what shows are you watching when you're not working?
in the past few months, I really haven't watched many shows, which I feel is like a sin in the movie world. But yeah, no, there hasn't really been anything that like caught my interest. I pretty much started the Squid Games, the new show on Netflix, but like didn't really catch like my vibe, and I was like, what, it's all right. And then now I'm just kind of on the hunt. I think I might just start binge watching The Sopranos, honestly, because like the movie just came out, and I think it'd be a great option. So I might just do that.
Yeah, selfishly, I'll admit I probably watch Sopranos. I'll rewatch it every few months. I'm probably like 30, 40 times in as the times that I've watched it. It's such a good show. I mean, I don't need to tell you that. But if you haven't, obviously with parental supervision, definitely recommend it because it's pretty brutal. But you know what? The movie actually had some more graphic scenes than the show did. I don't remember there being as graphic scenes. Like there was certain, I was like, whoa, I don't remember seeing that. And also,
yeah, it was like especially the one scene. It was I won't spoil it, but it was definitely kind of crazy. Where it was like, I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of. I was like, okie dokie, and I was like, is the show like that? And my mom was like, I don't remember it being this fun. And I was like, I kind of expected that.
and the technology obviously has come a long way. Even though it's been 14 years, they can do a little bit more with the technology today. But even that scene, if we're talking about the same scene, there's a reason why they did that. And again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a reason why that person was killed that way because of what another character who's probably related to him said a certain dialogue. So after I watched it the first time, I was like, man, why'd they do that? And then I watched it again, and I was like, that's why this character in the show said what he said.
Yeah. It all started like, so I've watched it now 2 times, so I'm almost on your level. But I watched it once at the premiere, and then I watched it again at a little like premiere party at my house. And I just like captured so many details that I was like, wow, okay. And it was like, just like more so paying attention to the movie and really getting like all the story down pat. And I'm like, all right, now I got this. Cause it was like, not that the movie jumped around, because it didn't. And I feel like the movie actually explained the story really well. But there was definitely some parts in my little 15-year-old brain where I was like, wait a minute, what? And after rewatching it a second time and really like paying attention to the story and how it was told, I think it all just made more sense. And honestly, I don't think I'd change the movie in any other way. I think that it just portrayed the story perfectly. And I was like, okay, this is awesome.
And it makes sense because it just, they left us at a cliffhanger. Now it seems like this is why Tony's going to eventually become who he is and why he made the decision to get into that, which we know he eventually gets into. So it was kind of, because it says, it's, who made Tony Soprano, because in a sense it's mainly about Dickie, but it's also a story on Tony. So it all just makes sense. And I don't think I would change anything either. And I can't wait to see where this goes. And I saw earlier today or I think it was yesterday, that David Chase just got a 5-year deal.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
So when I see 5 years, I mean, that typically sounds like a show might be in the works. So
I really hope.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then, there's going to be more of young Tony and young Artie. And, I can't wait. back to TV shows again. What's funny is, so I've interviewed quite a bit of the Sopranos cast, and I asked them that same question as far as, what are some of the shows that they binge watch. And believe it or not, I've gotten Cobra Kai more than once. And this is
Oh,
from,
really?
these are guys that are, killers on the show, but they love watching Cobra Kai.
I watched Cobra Kai. I watched the first season a while ago. I really liked the show, but I was never big into like the Karate Kid and everything. But I just thought Cobra Kai was like so cool. And then I don't know why I just didn't watch the second season. I was like, wait a minute, what? And now I have to watch it again just because you mentioned it.
Yeah, because the first two seasons were on YouTube, and then season 3 was in the bag, and then it switched to Netflix. So
Yeah.
season 4 is about to come out, and they're expected to have a few more seasons. I'd love to see you join that cast. Maybe be like a distant cousin of Ralph Macchio.
That would be so awesome. That would be like a dream role. I think just to work with him because he is such a great actor, and to work with that cast, I think that would just be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, you heard it here first. If you make it on Cobra Kai, I gave you the first shout out.
100%.
Awesome. Any other thing you could share about any upcoming projects? I know it's fresh off the Many Saints, but are there any upcoming projects that you could share, or is it still a little bit too early?
No, so I actually have I'm forgetting the name, a short film called Welcome Boy, and it's about an immigrant who is forced to actually work at like his uncle's restaurant. A lot of restaurants in my acting career, but he's forced to work at his uncle's restaurant, and that's really all I could say because I don't want to spoil it one, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. So if you want to watch it, I think it's coming out in around 2 months. I never got like the final date, but yeah.
I can't wait, man. It already sounds exciting. And you mentioned Mulberry Street earlier. I'm a little, I love Mulberry Street. I was just there it's about a month ago when I went and attended Sopranos Con. I stopped in New York first before I went to Atlantic City. And there's so many good restaurants. I'm sure you've probably made a pit stop at El Cortil.
Yes, I think so. Yes, sir.
That was like a Sopranos hangout. I know I just stumbled across it, about 5-6 years ago, and I walked in and I see a picture of James Gandolfini and I want to say Steve Sharippa. And I walked in, I was like, why is there a picture there? Like that's where they used to sit. And
Oh wow.
I was
Wow,
like,
that
man, I've never been able to grab that seat. Someone's always sitting there, but yeah, man, I'm jealous that you're around so many. I live on the West Coast, so it's a trip whenever I'm
wow.
in New York. But Mulberry Street has so many good restaurants.
It really does. My family's actually been there for I think 21 years or 20 years, and we own a restaurant named Lunella's. And the food, and not even because it's my restaurant, because that would be a little mean, but the food in my restaurant and Little Italy alone, I think is just like insane. Like I would not have Italian food any other way.
What's the name of your restaurant?
Lunella.
Oh, nice. I'm definitely going to check it out just because you vouched for it. I'm definitely going to check it out next time I'm back. For sure, want to go and have a nice meal there. And
Awesome.
I can chat for you for hours, and I want to save some time for round 2. Once we hear anything about a potential show, and once your short film, once you can share some more information on it, love to have you back. But I want to save some for round 2.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for making the time. You absolutely killed it in the Many Saints, and can't wait to see your upcoming projects, man. You're awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Take care.
You too.